Best of r/Tales from Retail episode 48. I'm on mobile. I apologize for the formatting. This is also my first post, ever, and I wish it was under better circumstances. This is really long because it's very fresh in my mind. It happened less than an hour ago as of the time of writing. For some background, I work at a large chain store with a logo that I have to wear on my back. Tonight, I was working as an electronics sales associate, helping people find things, holding the keys, selling phones. You get the idea. My shift was from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. At about 9:40 I took some overstocked TVs to the back room and went back to the electronics desk. A nice couple was standing there, waiting to buy a phone that we keep under the counter. I crouched down to find the specific model they were looking for. I had trouble finding it because the phones aren't really organized. A younger lady and her mother, along with some other small children, lean on the counter in front of me. I smile at them and continue to look for the phone. The mother asks me, "Are you the only one working back here?" I tell her, "Yes, mom." She says, "You need to call some help back here." I stand up, having found the phone for the nice couple. "What do y'all need? Should I call someone with keys?" They showed me a product from our app and I pointed at the aisle that a similar product is on, right across from my counter. "That's where we keep that item." The younger lady shook her head and told me they'd already been over there and that wasn't it. "I'm sorry, mom. Those are the only ones we have in stock." I give a sympathetic customer service smile. The older lady makes a face at me and said it was in stock on the app, so we must have it. I inform her again that we don't carry anything that isn't on that aisle. She tells me that I must work for cellular service company and that I need to call an employee of the store. This is despite the fact that I'm wearing the store's signature uniform and have my name tag clipped to it. I said that I do work for the store, and we don't carry that item. "You do work for FIing cellular service company, and you're just lying," says the mother, and they flag down another employee who's never worked in the department and ask him to find it. Spoiler alert. He takes them to the same place I pointed them to. I turn back to the nice couple and apologize for that. They told me I was fine and some people are just like that. Store policy says that I have to carry items that were locked up to a register up front. So I start to walk this couple up to a register. I call out to the employee helping the rude lady and to her mother, "We don't carry that chair in stock. We have a different one." I keep walking. The younger lady stops me in the aisle. "You were very rude from the start. We tried to talk to you and you ignored us." I said, "I'm sorry. I must not have hurt you. I didn't mean to come across as rude, but I do not appreciate customers cursing at me." She said, "She wouldn't have had to cuss at you if you weren't rude. You're very rude to us from the start. How would you feel if we were rude to you and you wanted to buy something?" I took a deep breath to collect myself, and also not yell at her, and repeated my apology. I stepped back towards the nice couple, and the lady makes a face and tells me, "Have a good one." Then, I get the nice couple up front, give the phone to a cashier, and find a supervisor. I explained what happened and started to cry. They told me that people are like that sometimes and that I could take a break if I needed. I went back to finish some tasks and ended up bringing another nice couple up to the front with a different product. A second supervisor stopped me and told me the nice couple, who watched the whole incident, told her that I couldn't have handled the situation any more professionally and that they don't want me to get in trouble. That supervisor then told the manager on duty, so I have at least 3 people to corroborate my story, just in case the rude lady and her equally vulgar mother decide to file a complaint with corporate. Gotta love retail, where the customers see you as a captive punching bag. I am super grateful for that nice couple with a phone that gave testimony to my supervisor about the incident. You probably saved my job tonight. TL. Dr. Rude customer and her mother cuss me out and tell me I deserve it because I told them that our store didn't have a product. Nice couple probably saved my job by telling my supervisor the truth. Thank you. Next. On my phone, this is hot off the press. Happened mere minutes ago. Customer came in trying to refund an item he bought. He bought it online from the imperfect range and therefore cannot return it in store. He must post it back to the warehouse. We provide free postage and return forms, where he'll get his refund. In the very first email he received confirming his order, There was a big message in bold telling him he can't refund imperfects in store. He immediately hit the roof, shouting the odds, failing BS and repeating, like an incensed infant, not my problem at when I'm trying to explain there is literally no mechanism by which I can refund him. His receipt doesn't even register on our system. This went on. He's blabbering on about how I, personally, sent him an email and slip saying he can refund in store. This went on for some time. I was physically shaking with anger and I could feel my head turning purple with rage. I started sweating out of fury. Fury sweats. In the end, he got his phone out, slapped it on the desk and told me to find the email and read it out to him. So I did. And I read out to him, from the first email he received, that imperfects can't be returned in store. He snatched his phone back, started pointing to store displays detailing the returns policy, generally going on like I've orchestrated the entire thing when the first thing I've had to do with this entire sale was to attempt a refund today. In the end he storms out the store in a huff, because he is a child. Not only is he a child, he is a coward and a bully. Do you know what type of people kick off at retail staff because they know we can't bite back? Cowards and bullies. P.S. This massive song and dance happened around an item worth less than £20. Thank you. Next. First, some context. I work in an outdoor lifestyle store. Most of our stuff is expensive and at the store level we have no authority to stop shoplifters and corporate stays mostly silent on the subject as well. The policies have never changed. We have tons of little pieces that are a lot of money, and people mainly prey on those. This was our first encounter at our store of something trying to run a scheme of this size. The cast. Me. CW1 one of my beloved co-workers. CW2 other beloved co-worker who was working the register. M my beloved manager. GM giant man who wanted to rob us blind. This took place in the evening, not too long before close on a Sunday. Sunday shifts are notoriously slow, and therefore we had a skeleton crew and we're all preoccupied with closing duties and customers. I was up front on the floor with CW2 working in clothing, while M was in back preparing to close drawers and CW1 was beginning trash. At the time, I was helping a lady who was an interesting character try on all these different outfits. She wanted my opinion on every single one, which I usually enjoy helping with, but I had a list of things I needed to do to get the store ready to close. Looking back, it was almost like she was keeping my attention for a reason. After a while I managed to break away and I head to the back to have a snack. That's when I enter the office and see CW1 talking to M, and both of them are staring at the cameras. I'm like, hey, what's up? And CW1 starts telling me how he was trying to do bathroom trash but there was this giant man acting weird in the men's room. He kept coming in and out of the bathroom, and when he saw CW1 he was like, hey, I have hemorrhoids, can you go get me some paper towels? And obviously this was an extremely weird request, like he just wanted to send CW1 away to buy a little more time. CW1 brings him paper towels anyways, and the man keeps doing the same thing, walking back and forth between the bathroom and the first aisle. CW1 looks around the corner to the first aisle, and behold, there are two giant black trash bags filled with the most expensive electronics we have. He quickly comes back to the office and tells me and M, and we are all shocked. These electronics are kept in a cage around the corner from the office, and when we look at the lock we can see it's completely missing. GM was wearing huge baggy sweatpants, so he could have easily had bolt cutters down them. Side note, we neither sell or have store use bolt cutters or giant black trash bags, so GM came in here on a mission. Now, I'm starting to freak out because I can remember a while back when we were sent an email with someone who looked like GM's mugshot, saying how he went into another store, broke locks off and ran out with merchandise. He also told one of the employees there that he was strapped, so I was like, oh boy, so glad this is happening right now. Since I was up front helping the lady in clothing, I had no idea how long this had been going on for, and so M decided it was time to step in. In the eyes of corporate, I don't even know if it was allowed for him to say anything honestly, but thank God he did. GM is standing in the aisle when M walks up, looks in the bag, and says, so what are we doing with these? GM is sputtering, and he says, I'm going to return them. M was like, okay then, you have a receipt right? Let's bring them up front. That was when GM knew it was time to go. and he was just standing there sweating. Another side note, I am pretty positive that this was the same man as we were sent in the email, and in that case he would have just had gotten released from prison after a few years in, which would explain why he's sweating so bad, thinking his plan is foiled and the cops are probably on their way, if not already here. Our fearless leader M then said, "You have two options. You can either leave right now or I'm going to call the cops." GM breaks character and is like, "Oh thank you, all while still sweating profusely. He quickly makes his way to the front of the store and leaves, going down the back alley to where his getaway car was most definitely waiting for him to bolt out the fire exit with the bags. We are all standing there in shock, and so we called the store manager and told him what happened, all while dragging these giant bags to the back office. GM was so huge though that there was no doubt in my mind he could pick them up and just bolted with them. We later find that GM also cut the lock off the back loading door, so maybe he was just going to hide the bags and then come back at night, which isn't really a better idea than just making a bolt for it out the doors. Either way, the cops weren't called till the next day and we got an email from our district manager thanking us for being observant and stopping him, even though I wonder how many policies we broke by even talking to him and asking him to leave. We may have even broken a policy by not immediately calling the police. Who knows, because these important things are never clarified, lol. In hindsight, I wish I would have asked CW2 if the lady I had spent so much time helping in clothing had actually bought anything, cause then I feel like I would have known if she was in on it by keeping me distracted. I hope I explained this all well enough. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for reading. Thank you. Next. I work at the friendly neighborhood grocery store. Shift is going great. Little drama here and there, nothing major. I'm the closing CSR, or shift manager, and it's like 10 PM. Very slow. Got my work done, breaking work policy and doing a lot of standing around doing nothing and chatting with my closing cashier. This lady approaches me. Let's call her SL. Seafood lady. SL. Can someone help me in seafood? Me. Sorry mom. Seafood closed at 9. This lady gets mad so fast. SL. But there's food in the case. I inform her that the seafood staff leaves the frozen seafood in the freezer that's in the counter, but they remove the refrigerated stuff. SL. But there's food behind there. You tell me they leave that food overnight. I want to speak to a manager. Me. I am the manager and the only one in the store at this time since the store is closing at 11. She then pulls a "let me show you." So now we're back at the seafood department and points to the frozen seafood in freezer that is behind the seafood counter. SL. There is food in there. Why can't you serve me? Me. I apologize mom. I am not trained for this department nor in the same union. I cannot go back there. I just work in the front end. SL. Okay, but why is this food sitting out? This is a health code violation. Would you leave this sitting out on your counter all night? Me. You'll have to take that up with the seafood manager or my manager. There's nothing I can do. SL. This is a health code violation. You're trying to poison me. Me. Shrugs. SL. All I want is a lobster tail. And now she starts to repeat herself very loudly and I have a few customers in the store that are looking over to see the commotion. She's beginning to make a scene and this is where I ask her to leave, very politely. She ignores me. Me. Mom, I need you to leave the store or calm down. Ignored, and she continues, pointing at the food and freaking out. I see my closing checker peek around the aisle to see what was going on. Me. Mom, if you don't like it, you can leave. And at that moment, I can see the explosion of her attitude reach its peak on her face. She goes to make a swift step towards me very quick, but her male companion that was with her held her back. I stepped back, preparing for possible impact. She is still yelling and screaming and I walked away. She left the store shortly after in silence. 24 hours later she called the store to complain about me, and left a nasty review. TLDR. Lady got mad that seafood wasn't open and I'm not trained for said department. Made a scene and I had to get slightly aggressive. Thank you. Next. Hi, this happened recently. I work in a medium-sized store with a line of several tills and we are constantly short-staffed. Luckily it was a slow day in January, so I asked my colleague to do putbacks, which is basically gather up all the products dumped around the till area by customers and put it back on the shop floor. I remember seeing a basket that mysteriously appeared, but I just added it to the pile of stuff and sent my colleague out into the wild shop floor. Approximately 5 minutes later I was approached by a 20-something old female asking what happened to her shopping. I replied that we were putting stuff back on the shelves, so that was probably where she could find it. As I was serving another customer, she just huffed and stormed off. I was the only person serving on tills, as there were only the two of us working till closing. She came back trying to justify herself by telling me she had smiled and gestured that she was still shopping, so I had been rude by putting her shopping back. It had more than enough, so I sniped that I'm not a Mindred, as she backed down and didn't say anything else thankfully, and we completed her transaction with no more verbal interaction. Thank you. Next. Customer asked me to check the price of a product for her. Customer: is it really that expensive? Me: we have multiple options of this product. I would be happy to show you the less expensive versions. Customer: it's damaged and dirty. I expect a discount. Me: utterly confused because the product is in plastic wrap and prime condition. Can you show me? Customer: flips product over and shows me a small streak of dust on the outside plastic wrap. See, it's damaged and dirty. It shouldn't be full price. Me: I'm sorry about the dust, but I don't see any damage. Some of our products don't move as quickly as others, but I can clean this off for you. Customer: I don't want you to clean it. Just give me a discount. This exchange went on for a while, with the customer continuing to get more and more heated. Luckily, the store was dead, so I just remained calm and continued to smile and refuse the discount. There were only two of us working at the time, and my other co-worker eventually came up and asked if I needed help. He repeated exactly what I said to the customer and she huffed, "If I'm going to spend money, I expect it to be new," and angrily left the store. We were both confused but had a good laugh about the whole exchange. For items that are damaged/dirty, we almost always give customers discounts or items for free. I definitely understand not wanting to pay full price for something damaged. Thank you. Next. I work at a grocery store in the downtown area of a major city. The majority of the customers that come to our store are either crackheads, mentally ill, or stealing, usually all in one. We have this lady that comes in about once every 2 weeks. She's definitely mentally ill, as she calls anyone in her path a BTCH. She just randomly shouts at employees and customers, "What are you doing, BTCH? BTCH." The weird thing about this story is that she's pretty good friends with some of the other employees. When she checks out, the cashier will be like, "How are you? Name," and she'll be like, "BTCH, BTCH." I just think this is funny because I feel like she's trying to say something else and thinks she is saying like, "Hi, good, how are you?" but the words that come out of her mouth are different. Just thought this was kinda funny.